How completely random. I just thought I'd let you know I decided to flip the switch, so you're actually live anyway already.
Yeah.
Hi
everyone.
And I'll just see if we can get it up live on LinkedIn. But make sure it's live. I don't know.
Don't want anyone to miss out.
Well, I've done this.
This is your first LinkedIn live, Melinda, is that right?
Yes, yeah. I've done Facebook, Instagram, but I hadn't done LinkedIn before. So.
Well, this is only my second one, so I'm not too far behind you.
Oh, there you go.
Well, I can officially tell you you're live, which is great. Hey. So, Mel, you know what? I don't know how long it's been. What was it? So let's think about where we first met. It was the Growth Project.
Yes.
How good was that?
The CBA building, years ago now.
It was. And you know, the irony is, I think David's the first CBA exec to sign up all these years later.
Oh,
what was it? Down at DP1 or DP2 were in. So, Rebecca, the foundations of Meat Magic, Mel was in the room when the thing was launched.
When his mind was ticking.
Yeah, I was watching the video actually on the Growth Project's website the other day.
Yeah, it was literally a brain fart.
Yeah.
And
I know, you were just like completely inspired and then there was no stopping you.
And you know, the funny thing is, it was, and I say this story, it was a combination of all the things that I've been doing for the past 20 years, which is working in the tech space and in sales and consulting, and then all the things that I was doing to try and help James. Remember James from Feel the Magic? So for about a year, I tried to help James with raising some money, and I said to him, you know, make me your head of fundraising, and I know some rich people, I'll go and get you some money. And so he did, and I found him a bit of cash. And then I realized how hard it was to keep going back asking for more. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that the whole Meat Magic thing is really a combination of me knowing where the money is in the tech space from the marketing perspective, and then matching that with value. And that's where we've been going. And you know, God, where we are 4.5 years later, we're in 4 countries around the world, and there's 1,000 execs that Rebecca's responsible for.
It's amazing.
Well, it is. So we've just launched a partnership with Miracle Babies, which I'm pretty excited about, because I think the Growth Project was the 100 charities in 5 years that they were planning on doing, and I think they've tipped over the 100 now, right? I think Larry and the team have already done 100 charities. We were the very first cohort. Yeah. Albatross. And I think back then it was still this little idea of trying to work out how it's all going to work. And you know, I think today there's a whole big brand around what we're doing, and there's the reputation behind it. And when I felt the opportunity, when I saw the opportunity of doing some stuff with Miracle Babies, and after I heard your story, I thought, you know, there's got to be there's so many people out there that will be in a position that will want to help.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
So you tell everyone your story, because the Miracle Babies thing, you're a founder. You've founded Miracle Babies based on your lived experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've got 3 boys who were all born premature. You know, first person in my family, I'm Italian background, a lot of people around me, but the first person to have that experience. So really didn't have anybody around me to, you know, guide me and to know what to do to support us. So my first son was born 6 weeks early, and he spent nearly 3 weeks in hospital. But it was Dylan, my second son. He was born 13 weeks early at 27 weeks. You know, resuscitated when he was born, spent some time on life support, and then 9 weeks in total in hospital before we brought him home. And it was really, I guess, from his experience that I realized how intense the journey was, how emotional, how, you know, I went through so much trauma, you know, being so, I guess, overwhelmed from the entire situation. And for me, you know, those 9 weeks that we spent in hospital were very much supported, very cocooned within the neonatal intensive care unit, and had support there. But, you know, once we went home, it was this whole new world that, you know, we really had to navigate, and, you know, just trying to work through that. The hospital actually had a program for us that we could attend with Dylan that was for the first 12 months. We went once a month, and at those appointments, we had access to a speech therapist, a family support nurse, an OT, all the allied health, a neonatologist, a lactation consultant, and other parents that were going through it. So for us, it was, for me, that once a month outing was like a saving grace. But then at 12 months after he was discharged from hospital, we were then discharged from that program. So here I was with this really early baby who had, wasn't walking yet, wasn't talking yet, wasn't on full solids, and then we just had zero support. So yeah, back then there was no social media, so I couldn't connect with anyone like this at all. But did some Google searches, and I found an organisation in the UK that had been running from the 70s and one then in the US. That had been operating from the 50s that were supporting families of premature and sick babies. So here we were, 2005 in Australia, and nothing, like no national organisation to support families. So never set out to start this. It was more that I was looking for the support and the fact that there wasn't any. So approached the hospital where the boys were born with the idea of a support group and a charity. This was Liverpool Hospital in New South Wales, and had this idea and said, do you think there'd be other mums that would be interested in forming a group? And through the social worker, the doctors and the nurses, they invited some mums to a meeting at the hospital and pretty much put me in this room. It was called the fishbowl because it had all this glass. So I was like, you're really on show, and just said, tell them your idea, which I did. And, Miracle Babies was formed, and Kylie, who was part of, the growth project and all of that, and who's now our CEO, has been with us the entire time, she was in that room. So these 8 amazing mums saw my vision, made it their own, and Miracle Babies was, pardon the pun, born.
It's really quite exciting. So your journey is not just of launching a charity, it's a startup, it's everything to do with what we've gone through as trying to launch something that nobody's done before.
Yeah, absolutely. And my background, so I've got a science degree in genetics and then nutritional biochem. So I worked in a lab. I didn't have any idea of, business or non-for-profits was new to me. So yeah, from that respect, we started it all from scratch. And, we were mums that came together from the experience of being within the NICU rather than, having business experience or that kind of skill set. So we had to, learn everything and navigate that all ourselves, and it's just been such an incredible journey. And I think one of the really big things for us that helped with our success was how receptive the hospital was to the support. And I always remember the head doctor of the unit at the time, his name's Robert Guerin. He said, I asked him a little bit later, why did you say yes to me? And one of the really important things he said to me was, medically and physically, we can look after the babies really well. But if we don't look after the emotional impact of the family we're sending them home to, we're only doing half our job. And that's where the gap was. So that's the gap that we were able to help fill. And we do that, it's 17 years later now, and the amazing scope and range of ways that we do that is incredible.
Have you been going for 17 years?
Yes. 17 years. Yeah, so Dylan, I always kind of watch him as he gets a year older. I know Miracle Babies is a year behind him. So yeah, Elijah's 19 now, then I've got Dylan, and then Jasper's 15, nearly 16.
That's incredible. I had no idea it was so long. And you, honestly, there's no one to lie. This morning, is that your?
Sorry.
Pick him up. I'll pick mine up.
I'm going to grab you.
We'll have a fight. This is like live TV, Rebecca. Same thing.
I know.
Never worked.
I did. The kids are still homeschooling, and I messaged them to say I'm going live. Come and help. So they're on their computers. I'm sorry.
Well, I had a call this morning. No word of a lie. At 7:45 with Justin Kelly. Who you may know. I don't know if you know Justin Kelly. He I think he's a founder of Mojo Media or M&K Media Company.
Do. Yeah.
And I said, I'm going live with Mel from Miracle Babies at 10. He goes, I know them. Isn't that them? Who Boris Yemmer was? And I thought, wow, how funny was that? And it's just, I think you've built a brand and this thing. It's a national thing now that you've got going. Where is it
absolutely. What was that? Sorry?
Where does it extend to? Is it all across the country in all the hospitals?
Yeah. So once we had started at Liverpool, we were operating programs. So we have a 24-hour family line. We were operating in-hospital support. And then also that discharge playgroup that they had till 12 months, we actually were able to help fund that and take that to not only 12 months to 6 years until the children were ready for school, and then also open it up because it was very limited. You had to be, your baby had to be born under a certain weight and week. So under 29 weeks and under 1,500 grams, which Dylan fit into, but Elijah missed out because he was a little bit older. So we wanted to make sure that no parent went without, no one was going to go through this journey alone. And yeah, so about 18 months after operating at Liverpool, I was invited to speak at a neonatal nurses conference and really just share my own personal story. It was the first time in their history of holding conferences that they'd had a parent talk, which was quite strange because, the parents, they're consumer or, the person that they're serving, but they'd never heard that story before. And then also share the work that we're doing at Liverpool. When I did, what happened immediately after that conference, I had nurses coming up to me from, all over the state, then all over the country saying to me, what you're offering your parents there, we need it. Our families need that too. So I guess that was kind of the first inkling that, this is a lot bigger, obviously, than one hospital. And we were really blessed because Liverpool was allowing us to extend our services, even though we were based at that hospital. That discharge group, which is now called our nurture groups, they were allowing parents from other hospitals to attend that. So if you'd gone to Westmead or any other hospital, you could come to that, and they were helping it. So our reach was slowly growing. And then in 2009, we made the decision. We were part of Scott Cam with Random Acts of Kindness. I don't know if anybody remembers that show. So he came in, he redid our entire office. We had nothing. So, they gave us laptops, phones, everything. But what happened was when that aired, it exposed. So I think that was in 2009, middle of the year, about June, it aired. It exposed us to the entire country. So not only did we then have the nurses and that asking us for, the services, we then had families approaching us saying, well, we want to help. And we, wish we knew that you existed. So then a couple of months later, we made the decision to go national. So that was 2009. Had to change our whole structure from a committee, put a board in place, got very official, I guess, and really grew up at that point. And then, we've been running national. There's 24 NICUs in the country. We operate in all of them. 48,000 babies are born premature or sick every year, up to 1,000 lose their fight for survival. So it's a lot of families for us to be out there helping and supporting. And like I said, we just didn't want anyone to go through the experience alone because we knew what that felt like.
Wow, I think it's an incredible journey. I'm full of goose pimples, and I can hear your dog trying to get on screen. Sounds like he wants to come on live with you. But has it been difficult? This whole COVID thing is affected a lot of charities, and what we do as a business is we love to give money to charity. Mm-hmm. But we've noticed that a lot of obviously the black tie fundraisers have had to stop. The volunteering's had to stop. How's COVID affected everything with you guys? Has it affected fundraising and all the volunteering?
Yeah, it's been quite challenging and difficult. We try and look for the positive. So all of our face-to-face programs had to stop, which was really devastating for us because it's already a really isolating experience. And, even when COVID first started, we already knew what it was like to, keep our babies separate. When Dylan was born so early and I took him home from hospital at 9 weeks, I still should have been pregnant for another 5 weeks because I brought him home at 35 weeks. So, I was terrified and we locked ourselves up. And, an Italian thing is you kind of don't take the babies out for the first 40 days or, 6 weeks. So add that to the 5 weeks that we were home. It is, and hand sanitizer and all that. So, it's already an experience for parents. So then to have this added pressure and stress and fear of COVID, but it was absolutely awful for our families. But the thing was that it then stopped us being able to have contact with them. So that was a really scary time for us. We know that families are 2.5 times more likely to suffer from postnatal depression than mainstream families if they've had a premature or sick baby. So we really had to, I guess, innovate and kind of pivot, and it gave us a chance to bring all of our programs online and try and operate that way, which is something that will stay with us because we can then support rural families, which has been an amazing thing. And then also I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of I think there's a lot of people out there willing to help as well.
Yeah, and the other thing is we were able to, one of the things that we launched was our Triple E program, which was, being able to launch on site the information and education for families for not only when they go through the experience within the hospital and go home, but also looking at what happens when their children are in primary school or in high school and then also in adulthood. So we were able to launch that last year with our brand new website, which was something that, we kind of buckled down during COVID while we weren't able to have face-to-face. But in terms of fundraising, it's been really difficult. We have not been able to hold any of our big major events. Like that's been something that's quite hard. It's been so much financial pressure on people. So obviously donations have been down. We were thankful, to have had some government support with JobKeeper and things like that, so that we didn't lose any of our staff, and try and hang on to as many that we could. So it's been definitely difficult, and the needs increased. I mean, one of the things that was really hard for us is that parents were and we've done so much work for parents to be seen not as visitors, but as part of their baby's care team within the unit, and then they were getting stopped from visiting. So imagine having a baby in intensive care and only one parent at a time, or one parent per day. So, mum and dad can't be there at the same time. If you're getting, devastating information, or, trying to absorb some things, it's been really difficult for our families.
Look, I mean, we've seen charities that have come to us, and we can't work with everybody. We have to be really selective, because it's really about, is there enough executives out there that are prepared to support the charities? And we've been very lucky to find, through Camp Quality and Starlight, and Cure Kids in New Zealand, and Brendan, who you've just seen on the screen. But it's been amazing finding executives to support the causes. And I think there's got to be 1,000 executives out there willing to support the Miracle Babies campaign that we've set up for you guys. And I'm going to do my best to try and push it. I'm a single dad of a daughter. I mean, we had nothing nearly close to what you've gone through. I mean, she was born, I think, very, very young, at 30 weeks as well. But she was healthy still. She's just tiny. But she's now at university and healthy. And I noticed your boys playing basketball, and I'm not going to talk about Bogut and what happened to him overnight.
Oh, I didn't see.
Oh, didn't he get kicked out of the team?
Oh, I don't know. Did he?
One of the Australian basketballers has got booted.
Oh,
okay. I'm not up to it today. Yeah,
but might be more up to speed with that.
Basketball is life in our family. Yeah.
I think one of the things I wanted to get out of this little LinkedIn Live was just to let people know that they can support you, and they can support you very, very easily just through a little bit of their time. And the good thing is, what we've found with a lot of the executives is they're telling us it's giving them the ability to filter a lot of the meetings that are happening, which is, it makes the time that they spend at work a lot more valuable. It's not wasted. And they get to control how many meetings they have. And just so everybody knows what Meet Magic is, we basically match people for business meetings. That's it. You sit down, you have a cup of coffee, or you have a virtual meeting, and it raises money. It's that simple. We donate 70% of our meeting fees to charities like Miracle Babies. And, without that generosity being pledged, without the executive role models that for other execs to emulate, we won't be able to support the causes that we care about. And I think we're closing in on $1 million that we've donated to charity. You've been around since this started, Mel. The very first day when it first started, and I popped that little dream, and we're now in a beautiful. We've got a beautiful, powerful opportunity to do good at work for those fortunate enough to be able to hold a title. And you've got a title. I mean, David Farr. When I saw David Farr's name, I had a big smile on my face, because I know David would be an in-demand exec that everybody wants to go and talk to, and I know he's a big supporter of Miracle Baby. So I was really happy about that. So I think there's a lot of great things happening, and I'd love to try and do what we can to get as many execs signed up to do this. They're just generous gifts of time. That's all they are. That allow execs an opportunity also to create we're seeing a lot of this now. That they're creating a lot of positive emotional well-being while they champion new ways forward for their business.
Yeah.
And that's a really powerful thing for them to do, just to go to work and sit down and be able to do some good.
Yeah,
Well,
and I think sorry.
That's one of the things that COVID has shown us, isn't it? How much we crave connection and how important that is. Like, I think, I mean, that's one of the biggest things for us is connection. And we know with our parent support programs, that's why they work so well. Being able to be with someone who's been there, been through it, really makes the difference. And I think for the execs that come on board, you know, as like I said, you know, I was the first person to go through it, but it's so, you know, 1 in 10 babies are born premature, sick, or need care. So somebody knows someone, or is someone, you know, is a premature baby. So it's so out there, and it's something, particularly for dads, it's something that they don't talk about. So I know, you know, the boys when they were little, their dad could not take the time off for, you know, there's no way that he could have had the 9 weeks plus be home with us. So while Dylan was in hospital, he was still going to his exec job. He was still working, still trying to be normal, come home, spend time with Elijah, then be back at the hospital. They used to wash the babies at that early. They used to take them out the crib 2 times a week, and it would be 2 a.m. on a Wednesday morning and then 2 a.m. on Saturday morning. And he would be there for every single time that baby would be out of the crib and then be back at his job. And so many people would not understand what he was going through, and he didn't tell people until Miracle Babies actually started. Then people would come saying, we never knew. And he, you know, like as a dad, he needed to hold it together at work and then come home and be, you know, our supporter, our provider, and do that. So, you know, there would be so many executives out there that this would really touch. And, you know, one 45-minute meeting is going to help 5 families through that journey. And I can tell you it makes incredible difference to their well-being, to, you know, parental confidence. And even we know that if we support the families better, the babies do better. So absolutely amazing. If anyone wants to come on board and join us, and just by holding the meeting, it would be incredible.
I mean, literally, you can be half dressed in front of a video camera, sat at home with your dog barking outside, and have a meeting like this. And at the end of it, 5 families get supported.
Yeah.
That, I mean, you know, if COVID's given us something, it's given us a chance to experiment with new things, you know, including the way we meet. And it's not changing. It's not going back to face-to-face. We've seen a lot of execs getting hammered aggressively by the conference organizers because they're trying to say to them, come along, and they're giving them free tickets. And it's the aggressiveness of the conference organizers now is actually quite bad. So a lot of the execs are coming to us saying, we want to do some good, but we need an easier way to do it. And I think we found that easier way to do it. And you know, it's especially more important now with ESG front and center. So, you know, to support families and their kids, I think it's a beautiful thing to do. So we've got like 8 minutes left, right? I'm going to do something a bit fun here, because I know it's a beautiful course. And any exec that wants to sign up, you know, can literally either hop on to the meetmagic.org website and just plug your details in, or you can Google Miracle. I actually love that meeting, by the way. Meet for Miracles. Who came up with that? Like you, Rebecca?
No, can't claim that one.
No,
I love it when we start new campaigns, but when I saw the Meet for Miracles, I thought that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to ask you, you know how they do all these silly rapid fire questions?
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared.
You haven't got time to think about it. Okay, texting or talking?
Oh, right now texting, I think.
Chocolate or cheese?
Oh, chocolate. Easy.
Say something in an Asian language.
Oh. I might say it wrong. I don't know. Affogato? Is that? I don't know if I can say that.
That's Italian ice cream. What are you talking about? Do you respect Kanye West?
I don't focus enough on him to know whether to or not.
Favorite suburb in Sydney besides the one you live in?
Oh, probably right in the middle of Sydney, the city. I love the harbour. Yeah, absolutely.
Nickname your boyfriend called you?
Boo.
Aww. What does
And
an
if
executive?
he's really nice, it'd be Bibi.
What time do you have dinner?
What was that? Sorry.
What time do you have dinner?
The boys and I probably 8 o'clock maybe.
Oh.
We're a bit late on our dinners. Yeah.
Very Italian.
Yeah. But no siesta. We don't have a siesta. So.
Salesforce or HubSpot?
What was that? Sorry.
Salesforce or HubSpot?
HubSpot, I'd say.
Okay. That's it.
That concludes the high pressure round.
Yeah. You needed to jump in, Rebecca. I wanted to hear your answers too.
Oh no. All yours.
Look, it's been fun. We'll put this out on our socials as well, and try and drive some of these execs. And we should have a goal to get a couple of hundred on board before the end of the year.
That would be so incredible.
It's a great time for giving. I think now more than ever, if we haven't all felt what isolation feels like, being stuck at home, these kids feel that in hospital. These families feel that in hospital every single day. And so I think it's important that it's just a small little gift of time, which is a great gift to give because it's at work. It's during the day. You haven't got to put anything to the side to give up something to do it. And we've found, honestly, we've had the CEOs of banks. In fact, we've got a LinkedIn Live next week with the CEO of Kiwi Bank, who's had about 5 of these meetings and loves them, and he's going to come and share his experience. So the experience of the meetings is really actually very good. It's not they're not selling meetings where they're being sold to, and that's, I think, part of the fear that a lot of people have had. But the feedback we've got in terms of NPS scores and how you get those ratings, these are up there in the 95, 98% range. It's really, really powerful. And that's because the meetings have got impact and they know that at the end of it, they've made a new relationship and there's a tangible impact that's been had off the back of it.
Yeah.
So very good. Okay. Well, it's nice to see you. And I'm really glad that we're doing this because, like I said, Meet Magic started that day when you were there in that circle when it stood up, and Larry
and Kylie and I were both there. Yeah.
And we had, who else was there? There was Tom, Ralph and Kathy Kelly from the Thomas Kelly Foundation.
Yes. Yeah.
Who was your favourite person from that day, by the way? Or from that? Mine was Tim Dodd. He was a crack up.
I don't remember.
Carl is Melinda.
And Carl. Yeah, there you go. You were the memorable one that I met that day.
I
was the one that went into the program. So I was there as her buddy, her support person. So that was my first introduction. And then I kind of stepped back and then she went into the program. So which she, talks with so much affection for everyone. And just that experience was amazing for her. And like you, like it was just like a platform and, being inspired and having new ideas and being able to see them come forth is incredible. Like watching you grow in this is amazing. Like it's
I mean, we'll be a global company. We already are. We're in 4 countries. We're in the UK and Singapore. Do you know in Singapore, one business meeting feeds 10 low-income families for a month?
Wow.
Why would you not want to do that?
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Why? I don't know how people can say no. Anyone that says no, there's probably just nothing in here.
Well, that's the thing about giving, and even with our families or our volunteers, or when they come back to them want to support families, and it's the same with the exec. Even though you're the one giving, there's such a return for you, and it's a healing thing, it's an acknowledgement thing. You might be giving, but you don't realize what you're getting back, and that's priceless. That's really priceless.
It really is. I know. We Rebecca and I talk about this a lot. We see a lot of companies at the moment trying to tack on purpose onto their business model. You can't do it. It's inauthentic. It's not real. And cancel culture will find you out and shut you down. We actually lead with purpose because our whole goal is to help you and help you find a sustainable fundraising model. Not so you have to keep going out there doing events. Every month you get this pile of cash that comes in. That's what we want. And all that's happened to get that pile of cash is 2 execs have sat down and had a chinwag. I mean, it's that's what we want. We want to make that happen.
It makes such a difference for us because it helps us stay sustainable, you know. And when I started, I remember saying when I started Miracle Babies, you know, I didn't want it to be the Melinda Cruz show. I wanted to make sure that we had a way that this would be something that would be here for always, for my kids, for my kids' kids, you know, that needed it to be here. And having people come on board to help us do that is the only way that can happen.
Yeah.
And I reckon David Carr's got a black book like nobody else. I reckon he's got 1 million execs, as does Morris Demmer. All those beautiful people out there with their big, you know, contact list. They should just bring them all to sign up and give 45 minutes of their time. I mean, when you think about this, it's we say 45 minutes once per quarter. That's 3 hours per year. It's nothing. Everyone can do that.
But it's not nothing to us. It's not nothing to the charity and the families we support. So
exactly. Mel, it's been beautiful to see you. And Rebecca, thanks for having the guts to drop on. I really enjoyed it. Okay.
Nice to see you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Now, see you soon.
Bye.
Ended.